In this video lecture, we will go through unit cells in more detail, right? In the previous video lecture, we have already been introduced with space lattice and unit cell, right? Just to brief you on this, on space lattice and unit cell, we said that a crystal, right? Crystalline solids are three-dimensional, right? And crystalline solids have definite geometric shapes, right? The reason for their definite geometric shape is that the constituent particles in crystals or in crystalline solids are arranged in a definite geometric fashion, right? And if using some experimental techniques we see what this definite geometric fashion is, right, and we draw this definite geometric pattern that shows the arrangement of particles in the crystal system in three-dimensional space, right, in the form of points, right, what we get is crystal lattice, crystal structure that shows crystal lattice. Lattice means structure. Crystal lattice will show you how constituent particles, atoms, ions or molecules are arranged in the crystal, right? That gives it definite shape and form, right? And the smallest part of this crystal lattice, right? Crystal lattice is a regular arrangement of points that represents the constituent particles in a crystal, right? And the smallest portion of this crystal lattice is your unit cell, right? And if you repeat this unit cells in all directions in three dimensions, right, what you get is the complete crystal lattice, right? So unit cell is an actual picture of the complete crystal lattice. It shows you basically how particles are arranged in the crystal lattice, right? So we said that a crystal is a three-dimensional, so the particles are arranged in crystals in three dimensions, right? So the crystal lattice that we will draw in three dimensions based on the position, based on the location of particles, constituent particles in the crystal, would also be three dimensions. So crystal lattice is three dimensions. So the smallest portion of this crystal lattice, right, which we call as unit cell, would also be three dimensions, right? So let's draw that unit cell in three dimensions, right? It would be like this, right? This is how you will draw this crystal lattice, right? We'll join it here and here, right? Right, this is your unit cell, right, in three dimensions. Three dimensions is x-axis, your z-axis and your y-axis, right? And we talked about this is your simple cubic crystal, right? Simple cubic unit cell, right? We also talked about what we call as unit cell parameters, right? Unit cell parameters are, right, unit cell parameters are nothing but that characterizes unit cell parameters will decide, right, the shape and size of this unit cell, right? So a unit cell is characterized by the parameters, right, that will decide the shape and size of the crystal. So we have unit cell parameters that will decide shape and size of the unit cell, right? And now what are these unit cell parameters, right? If you look at this three-dimensional diagram, right, the length of the edges, right, of this unit cell in the three directions, in x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, and the angle that it makes between those edges, right, between those edges which are measured along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, right? So we say that the dimensions along the three edges, right, three edges are your x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, right, A, B and C. These edges may or may not be mutually perpendicular, right? It's these edges actually, these are edges, right, these edges, and the angle, right, that, and the angle between these edges, right, angle would be, this would be alpha, beta and gamma, right? Now these two things, two parameters are your edges, right, A, B and C, edges along the three axes A, B and C, and angle between the edges, right? What we generally call these as, these are axial length, right? These lengths A, B and C are towards the three axes, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So we call these as axial length, and these angles, right, alpha, beta and gamma, these are axial angles, alpha, beta and gamma, right? So axial length and axial angles will decide the shape and size of the unit cell, right? So this is important. These are the two parameters, remember, right? Two parameters that will decide the shape and size of any unit cell, right? These are axial length, right? Axial length, the length along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, because a crystal is a three-dimensional, right? We know crystal is three-dimensional, so right, so we need to measure its length along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, right? And axial angles, the angles that these axial lengths make with each other, right? So these two parameters will decide the shape and size of the unit cell, right? Now based on this axial length, right, and axial angles, we have seven types of crystal systems, unit cells, right? These are your crystal systems, seven types of unit cells. We call these as seven types of unit cells or your crystal systems, right? Based upon the parameters of the unit cells, right, there are seven types of crystal systems. Parameters of unit cells are axial length and axial angles, right? These are crystal systems or crystal habits, right? We call these as crystal systems or crystal habits, because any crystalline solid must belong to any one of these unit cells, right? So based on these axial length, write it as based on axial length and axial angle, we have seven types of unit cells, right? Seven types of unit cells or crystal systems. These are crystal systems, right? These are the seven types of unit cells, right? You can see that axial distance and axial angle, right? Based on the axial angle and axial distance, we have 7 types of unit cells, or we call these as crystal systems. We also call these as crystal habits, right? So, and any crystal system must belong to any one of these crystal system, right? Any one of these unit cell. You can see that in the first one, cubic one, all these lengths, all these axial lengths are equal, and all the angle, these alpha, beta, gamma, right, are 90 degree. That means these axial length is perpendicular in the first case, right? The second case is rhombic, where all these three axial lengths are not equal, right, but all the angles are 90 degree, right? The third one is monoclinic, in which all the axial lengths are not equal, right, and your two of the axial angles are equal to 90 degree. The third one is not equal to 90 degree, maybe anything more or less or more than 90 degree. Tetragonal, if you see, in tetragonal you notice that two axial lengths A and B are equal, but A and B are not equal to C, so one axial length is different, right, but all the axial angles are same as 90 degree. Similarly, hexagonal, same as tetragonal, two sides are equal, two axial lengths are equal, but the third one is not equal, right? And here two angles are 90 degree and the one angle is gamma is 120 degree. So these are different parameters, right? Values of different unit cell parameters. Based on this, we have 7 unit cells or 7 crystal systems, right? And any crystal system must belong to any one of these crystal systems, right? Now, after this, we have something known as types of unit cells, right? Types of unit cells. Now, this classification is based on the axial length and axial angles, right? Now, types of unit cells. Let's see how many types of unit cells we have. The simple type of unit cell is, unit cell we know is the smallest part of crystal lattice, and crystal lattice is the arrangement of atoms, ions or molecules in the solid. Crystal lattice shows how atoms, ions or molecules are arranged in a particular crystalline solid, right? So it generally shows the how constituent particles are arranged in a solid, right? And unit cell also shows you how basic, it shows you the basic structure of solid or crystalline solid, how constituent particles are arranged in a solid, right? So the most simple type of unit cell that we have is when the particles are present at the corners of the unit cell, only at the corners of the unit cell, right? So this is the basic type of, the simple type of unit cell is this one, cubic, right? And here one thing, the cubic unit cell, this one, the first one, where axial lengths, all 3 axial lengths are equal and all axial angles are equal to 90 degree. This is the most symmetric form of unit cell, right? This has maximum symmetry, the first one, right? And the triclinic, the last one, the triclinic, where none of the axial lengths are equal and none of the axial angles are equal. This is the least symmetric, right? This is your least symmetric unit cell, right? And this is your most symmetric. This has maximum symmetric. So cubic, which is the simple form of unit cell, is most symmetric, and triclinic is your least symmetric, because all axial length and axial angles are different, right, in case of triclinic. Now types of unit cell, based on the location of particles, right, or based on the location of constituent particles, we have 2 types of unit cells. The first type of unit cell is when the constituent particles are present only at the corners of the unit cell, right? So that unit cell is known as your primitive unit cell or simple unit cell, right? The unit cell in which constituent particles are present only at the corners, right? We draw it like this. Since we said that the simple form of unit cell is your cubic, this one, right? Now we got to know one more thing, that in simple types of unit cell, or the simple cubic unit cell, or we also call it as primitive unit cell, the constituent particles are present only at the corners of the unit cell, right? Yes. So here the particles would be present, we said, only at the corners. So these are the corners, right? Constituent particles are present only at the corners. This is your simple or primitive unit cell, right? Now there is another type of unit cell when the constituent particles, in addition to the corners, is also present at some other position, right? Then that type of unit cell is known as centered unit cell, right? Centered unit cell, first is you have unit cell, right? We have two types of unit cells based on the location of these constituent particles. If the constituent particles are present only at the corners, we call it as simple or primitive unit cell, right? Now the second type of unit cell is when the constituent particles, the dots that you see in black, small circles, when the constituent particles, in addition to at the corners, are also present at other locations, then that is known as centered unit cell. You call it as centered unit cell. Now it said the other locations, right? So these are known as centered unit cell or non-primitive unit cells. This is primitive, so we also call it as non-primitive unit cell, right? Now based on the location of the constituent particle, this type of unit cell is further divided into 3 unit cells, right? First type of unit cell is your, again we call it as body centered, face centered and edge centered, right? First type is your, we say it as FCC, face centered unit cell. Second is your BCC, body centered unit cell. The third is your edge centered unit cell, right? ECC, let's call it ECC, edge centered unit cell. Now what do we mean by face centered unit cell? In face centered unit cell, this is how it will look like. I'll just draw it. The face centered unit cell would be, it's again the same cube kind of thing, right? We said in addition to particles at the corner, right, we have particles at other locations also, right? Now let's see what are these other locations. Based on the other locations, we have 3 types of body centered unit cell or non-primitive unit cells: FCC, BCC and ECC. Now let's see how FCC, face centered, looks like. Since it says face centered, that means face centered means at every face, at the center of every face, we have a constituent particle, right? At the center of every face, here, this is one face, this is one face, right? This is also one face, right? So at the face centered means at the face of unit cell we have a constituent particles, right? Unit cells which have constituent particles only at its corners are your simple, this one, right? Then there is face centered, a unit cell having one constituent particles at the center of each face, right? Here, so one constituent particle is present at the center of each face, right? I've shown it with the black dot. So here we say one particle at the center of each face, right? Now the second one is your body centered. In body centered unit cell, for the unit cell, the particles would be present at the corners, right? And in addition to corner, one particle would be present at the center of the unit cell. That would be your body centered. As the name says, body centered, simple, right? This is it. So particles would be present, right, at the corner, like this, at all corners. Now in addition to corner, right, one particle would be present at the center. Let's represent it with black dot, right? So this is your BCC, body centered, right, where one particle is present at the center of the unit cell, right? Now there is one more which is known as edge centered. Let's look at edge center. In edge center, the particle would be present at the opposite faces, right? These are the opposite faces. So each particle would be present at the opposite faces. One particle each would be present at the opposite face. It would be like this. Right? So particles would be present at the corners, right? At all corners. And in edge centered, the particle would be present at the opposite face, of the unit cell, right? So a unit cell having constituent particles at the center of any two opposite faces, right, in addition to the constituent particles at its corners. Right? So these are the opposite faces. So a unit cell that has particle at the opposite faces, right, is your edge centered unit cell, right? So just remember it, the name only suggests where the particles are, right? In edge centered, just remember that the constituent particles at the center of any two opposite faces, right? The constituent particles would be the center of any two opposite faces. These are also the opposite faces, right? But only it doesn't say that at the center of all the opposite faces. It's just one opposite face. At the center of opposite face. These two are opposite faces, right? So constituent particles would be present at the opposite faces also. This is your edge centered unit cell, right? Edge centered unit cell. So this is it. This classification is based on the edge length and edge angles, and this classification is based on the location of constituent particles, right? Based on the location of constituent particles, we have simple and body and centered unit cell. Centered unit cell is where particles are present at other locations also in addition to the center. In addition to the corners of the unit cell, and the other locations are at the center of every face. It would be your body center. It would be your face centered, right? Here one particle is present at the center of every face, right, of the unit cell. This is your face centered unit cell. And if the particle is present at the center of the unit cell, this is your base center, this is your body centered unit cell. And if the particle is present at the opposite faces of the unit cell, this is your edge centered unit cell, right? Now very quickly we will see that in actual practice you will see that these particles, right, these particles are more close to one another, right? We will draw, these are the actual diagrams, you can see that in your books also. These are the actual diagrams of how these particles look like. This is your simple, and this is your, the third one is your body centered, where one, you can see at the body, one particle you can see at the center of the unit cell. Then the middle one is your face centered, right? These are the faces. The one shown in green is the face, right? Is the location of the face, right? This is your face centered, this is your body centered, right? In actual way, these particles are not very small, right? These are bigger particles, right? So we represent each particle with a sphere, right? And you can see that in face centered, right, these are 4 faces, 1 2 3 4. Similarly, this is, since this is a in 3 dimensions, so this represent the 4 particles that are at the back of it, right? So we have total 8 particles, right? And one is at the, each one is present at the face of, at the each face of this unit cell, which is represented in green. Now one important thing to look here is that you have these 4 spheres, right? These 4 spheres are not touching one another, right? But each sphere is touching 3 spheres, right? This sphere is touching these 3 spheres, which are at the center of this unit cell and at the center of each face, right? Similarly, if you look at this one, these 4 spheres are not touching one another, right? But if you look at it, the one which is at the center, right, if you look at the third one, in the body centered cube, right, the body centered is the third one. All the spheres at the corners touch the central spheres. All the 4 spheres, right, which are at the corner, right, they touch the central sphere, right? Similarly, in the face centered, each sphere at the corner touches the 3 spheres. Like I said, each sphere at the corner touches the 3 spheres, right, present at the face of the adjoining faces, right? This type of arrangement will extend in all the 3 dimensions, right? In general, we say that for any crystal system, the number of spheres which are touching a particular sphere is its coordination number, right? So, right, this sphere is touching 3 spheres, right? Similarly, this sphere, any sphere which is at the corner is touching 3 spheres which are at the face, which are at the center of the face of, which are at the center of every face, right? Right, and here the sphere at the corner, right, touches the center sphere, right? So these touching spheres are the closest neighbors of any sphere, right? So the spheres that are, so coordination number for this sphere is touching 3 spheres, right? So these 3 spheres are the closest neighbor of this sphere which is at the corner. We call these closest neighbor as the coordination number, right? So this is the concept of coordination number. Coordination number we know are nothing but, coordination number are the nearest neighbor. nearest neighbor will touch this particle at the corner. So the nearest number for this particle is these three, which are